Griffith, what's left for Hinds to do in National Security Ministry? Former Commissioner of Police, COP, Gary Griffith reacted to the naming of Keith Scotland as a minister in the Ministry of National Security by saying most of the ministry would now be run by a junior minister, Scotland, raising questions on what was left for substantive Minister Fitzgerald Hinds to do. The Prime Minister said Scotland would be responsible for policing, offender management, illegal immigrants, drug trafficking and drug enforcement, and money laundering, addressing a post-cabinet briefing at Whitehall, Port of Spain, on July 25. Griffith alleged Hinds had failed in his role and Scotland's appointment was an attempt at damage control by Dr. Rowley. Yet again Dr. Rowley's, ego and arrogance has taken precedence over doing what is right for the country. Everyone is fully aware Fitzgerald Hinds has failed miserably, even Keith Rowley himself, and that is why he is trying damage control here. Griffith said Rowley knew most people wanted Hinds removed. However, because of the personality of Keith Rowley, the more people pressure him to do something the more he will double down to prevent it from happening. What he has done now is an attempt at damage control by now appointing a junior minister in the ministry and giving him all the different portfolios, the units, and the major elements in national security have been given to a junior minister. Griffith said Scotland would be in charge of border protection, illegal immigrants, and policing. The only thing left now for Fitzgerald Hinds is that he can now change his portfolio to being minister in charge of the fire service. Keith Rowley has virtually handed over every element of national security to a junior minister. Saying former Prime Minister Patrick Manning had once said being security minister basically took only a level head, Griffith countered that one should have some underlying law enforcement experience, but in his view, Hinds and Scotland had none. Hinds is a former police officer and Scotland is a criminal law attorney. Griffith said, instead of him removing Hinds and showing he made a bad decision, he has kept him in that position and given him virtually the only portfolio, being to look after the TT Fire Service. So now we have a Minister of the Fire Service, plus a junior position minister to look after all the major issues that have affected national security over the past 4 years. Griffith claimed Scotland has no experience, training, or qualification in national security, but Rowley was falsely pinning his hopes on a level head as being enough to run a country, to reduce crime and make people feel safe. Asked if he was expecting a drop in the crime rate and murder rate, Griffith replied any patriotic citizen ought to hope for betterment. I was not very hopeful you will see anything forthcoming. Orrapush East MP Dr. Rudal Munial, in a statement, was unimpressed by Scotland's appointment. This appointment is a non-appointment. Once Hinds remains as the senior minister, nothing can change. He predicted Scotland would be frustrated out of his wits. Hinds must resign in disgrace. The central pillar of his ministry has been abducted. Munial said regrettably the change would bring no change to the state of lawlessness and the high crime rate. He called for the Prime Minister's head. Only the removal of Rowley and his incompetent government will bring meaningful change. Misery likes company. This is an additional barrel to make more noise. This appointment for the population is a disappointment.